Ever since I was a boy, I've been on the water, one way or another. Fishing, kayaking, fishing some more. When I was living in Belle Plaine, me and a bunch of friends, we used to run up and down the stream catching crawfish and cooking them over a fire that we made. None of us would tell our parents because we were supposed to be at Ken's house playing a video game. My obsession with water, though, really started at a summer camp I went to as a boy for type 1 diabetics called Camp Needlepoint. It was my third year of camp, and I was in a program called Windjammers, which was meant to teach you how to use a small sailboat called a sunfish. Some of my best memories really came from there. The best friends I ever made were all at that camp. It was an experience that ended a bit too early for me in 2016 when my near friend passed away due to complications of diabetes. I couldn't really go back without her. Wasn't really home. So for a while there, I kind of stayed off the water. I didn't have any way of going back. Around the year 2020, my Grandpa Gary passed away. My Grandpa Gary and I were very close, and he was big into fishing and hunting. So once a year around November, I would make my way up to Mentor, Minnesota, a small town of 90 people, 4 bars and 2 churches, with my little brother and my mom. Grandpa, Nicholas, my brother, and I would go hunting for white-tailed deer, and my grandpa was really one of the people I looked up to, and that was really the one time a year I could focus on him and the hobbies that we had together. When I lost him, I wanted to keep a way to kind of stay in touch with him and keep a part of him around. So when I went up there for his funeral, I found a bunch of his fishing supplies, and I took it as a great excuse to go outdoors and keep him close.
Put it on. Obviously I'm too big right now because of the coat and stuff like that to zip it up, but over here, when I'm going, so this is an emergency whistle for if I fall in. There is, this smells like me too. So right here.
I soon bought a kayak, an Old Town Topwater 120 PDL, and I started going out almost every day because this was around the point that COVID hit and I was not working during this time. So 2 or 3 times a week, I would get out on the water and start fishing. I slowly started getting more and more fishing gear and getting more and more competitive in my fishing scene. I soon started entering my first fishing tournaments back in 2021, fishing in the top 8 of a competition with over 200 people, which I felt pretty good about, considering the fact that I was the only kayak and everybody else was in bass boats. One day, late 2021, I was after a specific tool for my kayak. It's called a river knife. This knife is blunt on the tip and it has one edge on it and the other edge is smooth, and it's very sharp. It's used to cutting yourself out of fishing line or anchor rope in case you fall into the water. So I walked into Bent River Outfitters, and my now best friend, Nate, was sitting behind the counter, and I asked if they had river knives, and without missing a beat, he asked me if I was looking for a job. I said yeah, the job was only supposed to be a small little gig, wasn't supposed to take too much of my time, once or twice a week as a fishing tour guide. But a week before they opened up, the general manager was fired, and the owner was looking for a new general manager. Before I heard about this, I was working in mental health as a direct support staff for individuals with disabilities. I was offered the position of general manager, and I took it as my anti-burnout job, I guess you could say. So when I first started working here, this guy named Joe, he's an absolute legend. He really taught me everything about the business that I know now. Cold calling businesses, customer rapport, reaching sales points, kind of just changing up the store a lot, picking up people, drop off points, pick up points, driving a trailer, driving the van, just making sure that we had everything to go smoothly. And after a few months of working with me, he kind of had out. This wasn't his job, this wasn't his business. He was just helping out Dane, the old owner, kind of figure out where they were going, considering that the one person that they had to kind of keep this going was no longer with the company. We have 2 main spots on our river trip. One is called Devil's Gulch, which is a beautiful canyon or crevice. I don't know how to explain it. It's like a big V-shaped cavern just filled with like luscious mosses and trees and just whole bunch of different type of stuff. And then it opens up into this beautiful big canyon and this beautiful, it's like a giant sinkhole in the ground almost. It's absolutely beautiful. Words don't do it justice. You'll have to come see it. The next one is Triple Falls. If you're a Mankato local, you know all about it. And it's 3 waterfalls that kind of run into each other and just trickle down into the river. As I started booking more and more trips, I became more successful as a general manager. Me coming from a summer camp where that's really where my obsession with the river started, that's what I wanted to kind of incorporate into this business. It's just like a fun, relaxing summer job where we can just vibe. And that's what I tried to bring to it. And I would say I did a pretty good job. I've got a lot of friends that I've made from this place. Up until recently, I was making these inside of my house, inside of my living room, and I had 3 roommates, and they would have to deal with the sound of the air compressor going off. They would have to deal with the sound. As I started booking more and more trips and becoming more and more successful as a general manager, it started gaining respect, or I started gaining respect from the owner, as he saw the passion that I had towards his hobby. Just as the store was about to close up for the season, Dane, the previous owner, pulled me aside and asked me if I'd be interested in buying the company. I mean, I've never owned a company before, don't really know what that entails, but I do know it takes money, which is something that I never really have. Never really had either. Dane saw my passion and decided to give me a chance for a small buy-in price. I was allowed to take control of the company and make it my own. So in 2023, I'll be taking my first steps as the business owner. My name is Riley Kolstad. I'm a river rat. And this is my business, Bent River.